Greetings, and welcome to A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. For this project, we are using the Ivan Walters reference book of 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Each day, we watch a movie associated with the date we are watching it on. Alright, and as it is the 29th of January, we will be watching The Great Raid from 2005, directed by John Dahl and starring Benjamin Bratt. So to begin with, we are dealing with another historical events. This movie actually starts off saying based on true events, so that's a good beginning. Again, we're dealing with a POW extraction from the mid-1940s, and again, it's another war picture. It's something that I wasn't aware of the story to begin with, which is always a nice thing to see on this. So to begin with, the movie not only stars Benjamin Bratt, but it also stars James Franco, Sam Worthington, Robert Amon, Joseph Fiennes, Connie Nielsen, and Dale Dine. So this story deals with three separate storylines that intertwine with each other. We have Benjamin Bratt starting up a team of while they are well-trained rangers, they have not been tested yet. We deal with Ralph Fiennes as the head of the POW survivors in the camp. And then we deal with Connie Nielsen, who is a third story that is constantly sneaking medicine into the POW camp through means otherwise developed later on in the story, prior to the story that come into play in this story. Now again, we're dealing with 1945 during the war. It is, because it is a historical moment, we are aware of the fact that this is the most successful extraction of POWs that the U.S. services have actually encountered. I'll be told over 500 men get rescued from this mission on the outset. Again, we're dealing with three separate people, three separate storylines that intertwine each other. So we deal with the Rangers, we deal with the POWs, and we deal with this this woman who is trying to help the POWs as secretly as possible in a time when it's really, really difficult to do anything because of the climate of the world during the war. Now, I had to check. I thought there was a problem with my monitor as I was watching the movie, but this movie has like a sepia tone to it. It has like a dulled out look, which is interesting to see. We deal with a opening montage of actual footage bringing us into the story. We have a voiceover of one of our characters, of Captain Roberts, played by James Franco, doing both voiceover at the beginning and the end of the movie to basically tie up all the story into a nice, neat little bow at the end. We get a lot of really cool, at the end of the movie, we get a lot of really cool military action. We have the actual raid, we have the attack, we have the extraction of the POWs. Prior to that, though, we experience a lot of unsettling sort of torture and police brutality, military brutality upon our non-Asian characters throughout the storyline. We have several executions. We just from people that aren't following along with the government. I've seen a lot of these types of movies, and like I said, I'm a fan of most movies. War movies are entertaining to me to begin with. Those that are set in reality have to have a little more of a oomph to them to make me really get into it. But unfortunately, this one sort of, while it has a very great cast and everyone does a fantastic job in their roles, it just felt a little too two-dimensional for me. I mean, we don't get to experience anyone having any sort of growth. But again, we are dealing with a short period of time. This movie actually takes place over 5 days. We're actually only like 39 minutes into a 2 hour and 12-minute movie when on January 29th, 1945, we experience the events that happen on that day according to history, which is basically a good portion of this film. And as it is the 30th of January, we will be watching Gandhi from 1982, directed by Richard Attenborough and starring Ben Kingsley. So to begin with, I do know that this project is going to allow me to have repeat people showing up on this list over and over again. However, I was not aware of the fact that one of the first repeating directors was going to be Richard Attenborough from Shadowlands at the beginning of this project. But when it comes to Gandhi, I am well aware of the time when the movie was actually made back in the 80s. A lot went into like the publicity and filming of making this. It was a big project that appeared on like Entertainment Tonight almost every single episode when something new came out about it. And then once it got released and then went on to Academy Awards, it was just a big deal at the time. And again, I was aware of it, but I don't think that I saw the movie in its entirety ever in my life before. At the very least, I don't remember sitting down for 3+ hours to watch this movie at any time. So more than likely, I've either seen this in parts or I've seen enough clips. I'm well aware of the history of Mahatma Gandhi to begin with, but I have never physically, until for this project, have sitting down to watch this movie in one full sitting. So, as I mentioned, the movie does star Ben Kingsley as well as Candice Bergen, Edward Fox, John Gielgud, Trevor Howard, Martin Sheen, Ian Charleson, and Daniel Day-Lewis, who is also a returning actor to this list. So, again, this is a biography of a very historically known person. We have to deal with a lot of breaking down their entire life into an epic 3-hour movie. Again, directed by a fantastic director that does a terrific job at giving you the feel of the life of Gandhi from not quite his early years, but once he's prominently in his adulthood to his unfortunate assassination, which is the bookmarks of this movie. It starts off and ends with the assassination, which is also our known through history, the date of which this happens, and that is, January 30th, 1949, which at a minute and a half into this 3-hour and 11-minute movie, we have that. Again, we also end the movie at just at the 3-hour mark. We then catch up with the storyline because it starts off with the assassination, then it goes back to again the beginning of our story being told as we go through time till we again reach the end of the movie where we encounter again the same date at the 3-hour mark that is his sets up for the assassination. Now we're dealing with again huge hundreds and hundreds of extras in scenes. We're dealing with a lot of war issues, a lot of controversy, and again, while this isn't, if I'm to understand it properly, not a full 100% telling of Gandhi's life, or at least what we deal with in this movie, but it's given to its audience in a very entertaining way, which is a very difficult thing to hold an audience's attention for the length that this movie does take place in. Back in the day, in the 80s, a 3-hour movie was pretty much like a death sentence. I mean, nowadays we have 2.5, 3-hour movies every other week. But back in the day, the epicness of this movie was just, I think, the thing that actually captivated most of the people that were witnessing this movie in the theaters. Knowing a lot of the actors, recognizing a lot of the faces. Again, knowing a lot of the movie and going like, oh, I remember this clip, or I've seen this scene before. There was a lot more that I don't remember recalling at all than I had remembered. So I clearly seen it for the first time. It was definitely a lot of. I spent a lot of time watching shots, like a lot of the establishing shots, showing just the depth of the scenes that are taking place. Again, a lot of extra work, some great stunts, and some terrific makeup as well. Aging Ben Kingsley between the youngest version to the last moments of Gandhi's life is just fascinating. How this gentleman looks appropriate for each segment of his life that they portray in this movie. Like I said earlier, when it came to the Academy Awards, this was a huge deal, this movie. Not only did it win for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Art Direction, and Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, and Best Film Editing, as well as Best Original Screenplay. It also ended up getting nominations for Best Makeup, Best Original Music Score, and Best Sound as well. So, doing a huge showing at that year's Oscars. All right, and as it is the 31st of January, we are going to be watching Lincoln from 2012, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Daniel Day-Lewis. All right, so to begin with, we're dealing with, again, historical characters from the past being brought to the silver screen in big, epic ways. I have not seen this movie, so this is a first time for me as well. Well aware of the accolades and the cast, and obviously the pristine of a Spielberg shot biopic that comes along with that sort of situation. So to begin with, not only does the movie star Daniel Day-Lewis, it also stars Sally Fields, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, David Strathairn, Tommy Lee Jones, just a myriad of other well-known actors to be taking part in a Spielberg biopic of President Abraham Lincoln. So we're dealing around the story time placement of the votes trying to pass the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. And we are dealing with well into the Civil War that's currently going on, how both sides are dealing with trying to either, again, accomplish the goal of passing the bill or to defeating it completely. And we have a lot of, again, we're dealing with a Spielberg movie, so we're definitely not on a small scale. And we are dealing with a huge cast of primarily, obviously, male actors to begin with. But it is such, it's a lot of scenes of huge rooms filled with men going on long, rampant monologues to get their points across to each other, and then others countering whatever was just said and whatnot. Lincoln is a very storyteller-esque character, as he takes every opportunity to tell a tale of inspiration or recognition to the events that are currently happening, just the parallel stuff and whatnot. And again, we're dealing with a very phenomenal cast. Every face is practically like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, and that guy. Oh, and him, and so forth and so on. Others, you hear a voice and like, wait, is that? And then all of a sudden they're shown like, yes, it is. So, I mean, but again, we're dealing with a movie on such an epic scale that it looks glorious. The costuming makes you feel like you're actually in the era that this is taking place, because everything looks lived in and worn, and not everyone, while everyone is dressed up, there's a bit of a not so shiny sheen to everyone, making them look more realistic, more down to earth. Daniel Day-Lewis, without a doubt, does a fantastic job of portraying the President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. They do a glorious makeup job. And of course, Daniel Day-Lewis being the actor that disappears into all of his roles. The makeup alone that they put on Daniel Day-Lewis, I found out later on, the prosthetic forehead that he wears for the whole entire thing to get the constant wrinkles that every portrait of Abraham Lincoln shows us that he had this very lined up forehead, as beautifully done. Um, Seating him with Sally Fields as his wife, making him look even taller than he actually is, which is phenomenal effect of just camera work. And again, we're dealing with Spielberg, so he has some beautifully anchoring shots or glorious like vistas, and just to be able into the chaos of like multiple characters in a crowded scene talking over each other and how everyone gets their fill. Again, we're dealing with the 13th Amendment. And what happens is the date that, of course, we know through history that the date that the actual amendment comes up for a vote is January 31st, 1865, which happens at about an hour and 43 minutes into a 2 hour and 30-minute movie. Again, there's not much more to say than it is a very fascinating look at how director Spielberg shows how trying it is to be at this time being a political character, and not just our major characters. We have several of these characters. They're trying to deal at their different levels of politics to just survive, not only the situation of the 13th Amendment coming up, but the fact that they're still dealing with war at this particular time, and how heads just keep butting up against each other, and it's just like such a grind upon one's soul just to even survive at this time. Now, as it did win 2 Academy Awards, one for Best Actor, obviously, for Daniel Day-Lewis, and for Best Production Design, it also got nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Tommy Lee Jones, Best Supporting Actress for Sally Fields, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, Best Sound Mixing, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, and Best Film Editing. As it is February 1st, we are going to be dealing with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from 2005, directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp. So when it comes to Tim Burton movies, there has been barely a movie that I haven't seen in the theater to begin with. And when you're dealing with Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, I'm definitely going to be there to watch it. Hence this movie as well. I'm a fan of the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka version as well, having seen that in my youth and being a big fan of Gene Wilder just to begin with as well. That is a spectacular version. And then going off and seeing this version is also one of my favorites as well. Also, to expand on that, is that I have actually done the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka as a cosplay, of which I do add to my list of Johnny Depp cosplays that I have quite a few in my repertoire. So, like earlier I had mentioned, that this movie does star Johnny Depp, as well as Freddie Highmore, Helena Bonham Carter, Anna Sophia Robb, Christopher Lee, David Kelly, and Missy Pyle. So we deal with a reinterpretation of the original Roald Dahl's story. It definitely differs from the, like I said earlier, mentioned Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory starring Gene Wilder, especially the portrayal of the character of Willy Wonka itself. We have, which is also a good thing. It is very Burton-esque to begin with, from the get-go. The look and the feel of the movie is just a very Tim Burton over-the-top sort of look to it. From the look of Charlie's house to the chocolate factory itself, both exterior and interior. We got wonderful colors, which is expected from a movie from this story. And it's just a fascinating, fun time. And again, Johnny Depp's portrayal is nothing like what Gene Wilder do, which is great. He has his own creepy sort of childlike explanation. We get a backstory involving Christopher Lee as Willy Wonka's father that seems to be scattered through flashbacks that he has during his tour. But yeah, we encounter in different interpretations too of how the other children that are part of the contest get dealt with, which is also a nice little twist as well. So, as it is stated in the movie, the actual tour itself happens on February 1st, 2005, which is only 33 minutes into this 1 hour and 55-minute movie. And when it comes to the Academy Awards, it got nominated for Best Costume Design. Again, I have the cosplay of the main Willy Wonka outfit, so good costumes all around. And as it is February 2nd, we'll be watching Groundhog Day from 1993, directed by Harold Ramis and starring Bill Murray. Being exposed to such comedic influences way too early in my life, well, probably before I was actually really certain of what was actually going on, I was exposed to early days of Saturday Night Live and the ensemble cast, as well as Monty Python, which paralleled the actual production of early Saturday Night Lives as well. And of those, I grew to enjoy seeing the comedians spawn off into different things like other TV series and movies. And without a doubt, one of those is Bill Murray to begin with. His goofy nature of his comedic talent giving him rise to like small cameos in movies like Caddyshack, and eventually evolving up into like leading roles like Ghostbusters, along with other Saturday Night Live alum Dan Aykroyd. I really enjoy Bill Murray as a persona. He is a fantastic presence to watch in almost anything that he does, no matter how big or small his role is. He's always a breath of fresh air to see, especially at the cameo level of his career. But as we were dealing with this particular movie, we got him front and center. And besides Bill Murray starring in this movie, we also have Andy McDowell, Chris Elliott, Stephen Tobolowsky, Stephen Tobolowsky, Brian Doyle Murphy, Angela Patton, Rick Ducommun, and Rick Overton. So, if you don't know what this movie is, it's kind of a wonderful tome of redemption for originally seeming just like a goofy way to put Bill Murray's character into several different comedic sort of situations, as this is technically time travel. Phil Connors, the weatherman who is on site to do the annual dedication to the forecast of Punxsutawney Phil, a Pennsylvania groundhog who emerges from his burrow on February 2nd, like everybody has in their local area, to see if how much longer it is till spring or how much longer we have to do with winter. A upcoming snowfall blocks them in, and when Phil awakes the next day, he finds that the day has repeated itself. At the beginning, thinking that it's some sort of wacky joke that the town is putting on, he definitely realizes quite quickly that the day is repeating itself again and again and again and again. Each time we have Bill Murray experiencing the effects of having to do the same day over and over again. He actually gets to the point where he starts to comedically stretch out his experience throughout the day, he starts to expand on making his own life better for himself. He tries several times to help out different people throughout the town, timing his day to be able to be in certain places at certain times to help out certain people. All this time, he finds that he's becoming a different person, allowing him to become romantically linked with his producer, played by Annie McDowell. And then he just eventually gets to the point where everything's worked out. Spoiler alert. So it's just a comedic tour de force of Bill Murray throughout this whole entire movie. He deals with a lot of fantastic character actors throughout the movie that populate the town that he's technically trapped in, and it's just so much fun. Now, I have seen this movie quite a few times, and actually when I sat down to watch it for this, I realized that I hadn't seen this for a while. And again, the charm, the humor, the cozy atmosphere that Harold Ramis directs into this movie is just so fascinating. So about 7.5 minutes into the 2 hour and 41 minute movie, we are experiencing Groundhog Day. And we experience it again and again and again. It actually travels for the greater portion of the rest of the movie, up till like we finally don't break until the February 3rd, until like an hour and like 34 minutes into this 2 hour and 41 minute movie. So, and as it is February 2nd, we'll be watching Groundhog Day from 1993. And as it is February 3rd, we are going to be watching La Bamba from 1987. Directed by Luis Valdez and starring Lou Diamond Phillips. So to begin with, we are watching yet another biopic, another musical biopic, and to be completely honest, I'm pretty sure I saw this movie when it originally came out in theaters. Whether or not I did really see it early on in its release, more than likely something on cable with the movie channels we had back in the day in Canada. And I have seen it several times since. Now, like I had mentioned, this movie does star Lou Diamond Phillips, as well as Essia Morales, Rosanna DeSoto, Elizabeth Pena, Danielle von Zernick, and Joe Pantaleone. As it is known by history, this is a very short career in this gentleman, Ritchie Valence's career, that deals with his very quick rise and unfortunately tragic end to his, like I said, very short career. We deal with a lot of colorful storytelling around this. We deal with a very babyface Lou Diamond Phillips, as this is early in his career to be a movie star. And the unfortunate thing is, like, while we know that the story is a little more glamorized than what actually has happened, just for storytelling's sake, we do know about the sad, unfortunate, tragic end of Ritchie Valens, which is the date for this movie. The fated plane ride that would be referred to as the day the music died happened on February 3rd, 1959, which is an hour and 39 minutes into an hour and 48-minute movie, where due to a poor weather conditions in a small plane which crashed, killing not only the pilot but the Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, and Buddy Holly. One of the things I found, and especially with doing the recent musical biographies I have done, like Sweet Dreams, Jessica Lange didn't actually sing any of the actual songs, whereas Joaquin Phoenix and Sissy Spacek did sing in their respective songs, but Jessica Lange also did a very impressive lip sync to the original music, whereas the lip syncing performance that Lou Diamond Phillips here isn't quite as impressive. It does unfortunately sometimes take you out of it, and there is a lot of Lou Diamond Phillips singing Ritchie Valence's music, so it's not as good as it could have been, but it's an entertaining movie, and and that's not to deny the actual cultural impact the actual movie had at the time of its release. Not only the resurgence of allowing people to experience Ritchie Valence's music, but the inclusion of that music into the popular time of the late 80s. And as it is February the 4th, we are watching Patty Hearst from 1988, directed by Paul Schrader and starring Natasha Richards. So to begin with, I am well aware of the character, the person of Patty Hearst, and the trials and tribulations that she went through in the details that are pointed out in this particular movie. Now, not knowing fully what all the details were, or not even thinking I was even aware of the full details to begin with. To be completely honest, I don't believe I was well aware of Patty Hearst herself until the introduction of the writer director Jonathan Waters, bringing her to the forefront of entertainment at the time that he did. That being said, I was totally unaware of this movie actually existing, so this was a first watch for me. So, like we mentioned, the movie does star Natasha Robertson, as well as William Forsythe, Ving Rhames, Frances Fisher, Jodie Long, Olivia Barsh, Dana Delaney, Merrick Johnson, and Kitty Swink. Really wasn't sure what I was expecting when I started watching this movie. It seemed like it was going to be a typical biopic, starting off with a voiceover of Patty Hearst herself, like I said, portrayed by Natasha Richardson, and it's slowly turns into a very like avant-garde sort of artsy film, looking more like a theatrical production. Once Patty gets abducted and kidnapped, her situation where she gets technically brainwashed into becoming a comrade for the SLA, the Sudanese Liberation Army. But the sequence plays out for about a half hour of the movie in like very dramatic differences. There's a lot of black and white shots. You don't see a lot of details of the actors. You see Patty just cowering in a corner of a closet lit by the light coming up from underneath her. Everyone is backlit from a bright white exterior where the walls of the it seems very artsy and very theatrical to begin with. Once we break past that point, we then turn into a almost like a heist movie with very erratic camera work and whatnot as we go through the situations that the SLA deals once Patty becomes one of them. So I don't really know how to react to this because I'm unaware of this director. Do not believe that I'm aware of any of their other works. It was surprising to see names and seeing faces popping up on the screen of a lot of well-known actors to begin with. Everyone's so young in this movie. Of course, we're talking 88. But yeah, it's just don't know. And after watching it, it like the movie kind of changes its tone almost every single act. Like we have the beginning where she's abducted, and then when she works with them, and then once she gets captured, they all are shot differently with different techniques and whatnot. It's just a mishmash of interesting scenes put together. It's kind of hard to describe. Don't think. I mean, it was interesting to see this from the perspective that we had. I believe it is based on the autobiography that Patty Hearst herself had written. It's just interesting. I mean, it's cool to see like a young William Forsythe and Ving Rhames. Dana Delaney always happened to look the same at that time. It's just an interesting movie about an interesting subject about an interesting woman. So the actual date of her kidnapping, which is at the very beginning of the movie, which happens to be February 4th, 1974, of a hour and 44-minute long movie. It is when she's kidnapped. It's just that opening sequence is what we deal with her abduction. The beginning of the movie goes right straight into that day where she gets kidnapped. All right, so that's going to wrap up this particular episode, and then we're going to look off into the future to see what we're going to be seeing for tomorrow. And tomorrow, for February 9th, we are going to be watching The Ghosts of Mississippi from 1996. So until next time, go see a movie. This has been A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Once again, another thanks to Ivan Walters for his book, A Year of Movies, 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Look for it online or at your local bookstore. Follow Planet Geek Productions on all of our social media. Through Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, and Letterboxd, search for Planet Geek Productions. On X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. You can also reach out to us through email at planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, go see a movie.